Hey, Happy New Year. I'm Lulu Cook, and I'm here to chat to you about failing at your New Year's resolutions. Some of you watching this are doing awesome with your resolutions a week and a half into the new year. New year, new you, you're on it. That's rad. The rest of the world isn't there yet. Some of us didn't set New Year's resolutions at all. Maybe we were a little demoralized by how that's gone in past years. Maybe we were a little disappointed in ourselves for how we ended last year. We might still be feeling emotionally and physically hungover from choices we were making really recently in our lives. And it feels pretty impossible to think about setting a bunch of Pollyanna goals to be somebody new just because the calendar switched years. Others of us maybe set some goals. We had some intentions. We felt pretty fresh about it. But here we are. We're a week and a half in, and it's not happening. We're not making those changes we wanted to make. And that's discouraging too. So I've been there, and that's what this video is about. There's times when we're failing at our own highest aspirations. So I have like a process I go through when I'm in that place, and I want to share it with you today. The first piece of the process is choosing the right goals, SMART goals. The second piece is to simplify. The third piece is to switch out altogether. The fourth part of the process is to sense into things. And the fifth part of the process is to select your action steps. So the first step, the SMART goals, many of us have heard of before. It's making sure that before we fail, we're setting ourselves up for success by choosing goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So if our goal is to do dry January, let's say, we have a specific goal. I'm not going to drink alcohol all month long in January. It's measurable because we either drank or we didn't drink in January. It's actionable. It's something that we can actually do something about. We can not pick up a drink. That's a goal of omission, a goal of something we don't want to do. We might have goals of commission as well. Maybe we wanted to exercise more or run twice a week. Actionable. Realistic. Can we do this? Is this something achievable? It is achievable to have dry January and not drink alcohol for a month. It's not achievable to, for most of us, it's not achievable to make $500,000 in January or lose 10 pounds in January. Those are outcomes. They're not the process. They're not the action steps we have control over. So those are not realistic and achievable goals. And then T is for time bound. Do we have a way to measure it in terms of the time? January, for instance, for the dry Jan. So we start with making SMART goals, and if that's working for you and you're reaching your SMART goals, fantastic. If you haven't tried it, if you haven't thought of shaping goals that way, give it a try. They're really helpful tips to make sure you're choosing the appropriate things to aim for. If you have tried it or haven't, but you're still just failing and flailing on reaching those resolutions, stay with me. We'll look at the rest of my process. Now we're just going to throw the SMART goals out the window and move on to the step of simplify. Get rid of most of those goals. Rather than having a really long, ambitious, self-help overhaul kind of project, choose one or two of the things that will have the biggest impact on your quality of life and how you're feeling, how you're showing up for yourself and how you're showing up in the world. Just one or two big impact items to dial into. So you're really going to simplify that list and go with dry Jan is a good example because it'll have a big positive healthy impact on you to minimize alcohol. That's just for real. Even for those of us who love drinking, it's bad news health-wise. So that's a good example of a high impact change you could make. But it might be something else. So this is where we're going to look at switching. Rather than choosing a list of external goals, actions, behaviors that we want to change, maybe one way to work with it is to switch out for themes that we feel really excited about investigating. This is how I work with most of my aspirations and goals this year. These days, this year for sure, is to choose something that I'm keen to unpack and investigate in multiple arenas of my life. So some examples of themes that I might pick as New Year's goals, New Year's aspirations, might be balance, trust, clarity. I have a friend who chose living with an undefended heart as a theme to investigate one year. This is something that you can't go wrong with because it's just an investigation, just an exploration of how this idea impacts on you, how it plays out in your life, how you could amplify certain qualities. And it can have both internal and external applications. If I'm choosing trust as my theme, for example, this can refer to, am I surrounding myself with people who are trustworthy for me? Am I trustworthy to myself? Am I living up to my best hopes for myself? And if not, where can I get some traction with becoming more trustworthy? Can I trust my body signals around nourishing myself wisely? And now it's going to maybe impact on what I'm choosing to eat. So this general theme or motif can play out in so many different arenas in our lives. And it's got to be something you're excited to investigate. For me, it's something that sort of percolates up and arises from within me. Maybe it's something that I've been running into in lots of different places. I feel like the universe is talking to me if I have a friend say it, and then I read it in a book, and then I have it arise in a dream, and then I go for a run and see it written in graffiti on the side of a building, right? I'm like, oh, is that what you're saying, universe? Pay attention to this? So paying attention to those tendrils can point us toward a theme that might be a really juicy intention to investigate in the following year. So we picked our SMART goals and threw them out the window. We simplified our list to just one or two big impact items. We switched our aspirations entirely to be a theme. Now we're going to sense into that theme. This can be both in general, like I just described the process of sensing into what trust might mean for me on multiple levels. And it could be in a really specific way. I can apply that theme to sensing into specific situations in my life. If I'm thinking about a new job, how does my intention of trust play into it? Trusting my gut feeling about that job, trusting the potential new coworkers. So I'm sensing into it. For some of us, this might mean reflection styles like journaling, or for sure chatting to a friend. It could mean mindful movement, going for a walk and just mulling it over. For many of us, I really want to vote for or suggest mindfulness and meditation as being a space to really sit with and sense into how this theme plays out for us. This includes making space for any grief or sense of shame or self-judgment that comes up about the ways we're failing at our New Year's resolutions. There's got to be space to feel the tenderness of that kind of disappointment for ourselves when we can't seem to make the kind of changes that we want to make. So giving ourselves some space to sense into that. And then finally, um, with all those pieces in place, we might be in a new position to choose some action steps. Choose some really small, simple solution steps that we can take to get back on track and moving toward our best aspirations for ourselves. So if I originally thought my New Year's goal might be to lose that 10 pounds, and in this process of reflection, I've decided that actually I want to eat in a more healthful way that feels more high energy and more nourishing for me. I can feel my disappointment in myself when I binge eat anyway, and I'm trying to be tender with myself around that. And now I want an action step to really be making those changes. And that could be anything. It could be my action step is that I'm always going to eat a vegetable at every meal before eating anything else. And I'm just going to start there. One little change. It could be that I'm going to take a few moments of mindful breathing and centering every time I eat and really sense into what is my body hungry for, how hungry am I, and how grateful am I for what I'm about to consume. Even if that means I go on to binge, right? But giving myself a little bit more space and a little bit more time with that mindfulness before I eat. It could be coming up with an accountability friend to say, I'm really trying to make healthier food choices, more high energy food choices, and I need to be able to check in with you about that. It could be that I need more information. I'm not sure. There's so much information out there. I don't know what the healthy choice is or not. So choosing a specific, small action step that we can succeed at, we can do and feel great about ourselves. I did it. Okay, all I did was I ate one baby carrot before breakfast, lunch, and dinner all day long. But that was my intention. That was my goal. Eat a vegetable first. Nailed it. I rock. I'm ready for more. What other changes can I build onto that successful beginning platform? So this has worked for me. You know, I've changed some really damaging habits with this way of accepting and loving myself through all the damage that I'm doing, and then choosing to try one little thing differently that's going to move me toward these bigger goals I have for myself around presence and connection. You know, that's part of what this video is about, is connecting with other people who sometimes fail at New Year's resolutions too. So I'm curious to hear how it goes for you. Please write in the box below. Tell us what New Year's resolution you've failed at, or maybe some of the things you've done that have really worked. And here's a big wish for you to feel like you're on track with moving toward who you want to be, whether New Year's resolutions has any meaning to you or not. You're not a failure. You can reach those goals. It just sometimes takes a lot longer and is a lot more work than we really wish it would be, which is why we have to stick together and support each other. And thank you for sticking with me. Happy New Year.